Hi, I'm Hunter Bensman. I did my project on Marcus Aurelius. Um, I would like to start with a quote of Plato's that Marcus Aurelius used throughout his time as emperor. He said, "The common cause will flourish no sooner than philosophers start ruling and the rulers concern themselves with philosophy." So this kind of summed up who Marcus Aurelius was and his attitude um, towards philosophy and ruling Rome. He was the last of five good emperors of Rome. He was a Stoic philosopher with a classical education in drama, music, poetry, and literature. He led military campaigns against the Parthians and Germanic tribes, and he was also a great judge for the Roman citizens. Um, as well, probably his most famous accomplishment was writing a compilation of 12 books called the Meditations. So Marcus's birth name was actually Marcus Annius Verus. Um, and from a very young age, Emperor Hadrian noticed him and noticed his potential, and he changed his name to Marcus Aurelius Antonius. Um, and later in his life, Hadrian told Antonius Pius, who was Hadrian's heir, to adopt him as his son so Marcus could be the heir after Pius. And when he was adopted by Pius, he was 27 years old. And from then on, he learned political strategy and ethics from Pius and how to lead just in general. Um, and then in 161 AD, Pius died, and that left Marcus to be the next emperor of Rome. So the first act as emperor he did was to share his power with his adopted brother, Lucius Verus. Um, he made Lucius Verus his junior co-emperor, and he gave Lucius Verus control of military endeavors in the east with the Parthians, and allowed him to take charge with that while he stayed in Rome and conducted financial and legal issues and was a judge for the Romans. Um, Lucius Verus later indulged himself and was not a good leader, and there was another military leader who took control of those endeavors. Um, but in August of 161 AD, floods came to Rome, and the people suffered, and that was where that was a part where Marcus was tested, and to see how he could calm the people and lead them in a good way. And also around that time, the Parthians were attacking Syria, and that was the endeavor Lucius was in charge of over there. Um, Marcus was well known for his talent as in legal affairs as a judge, and there were many stories I came across of him being both a just adjudicator and a merciful and a leader who gave grace to his people. And he also was credited with building up the military so he could push back the Parthians, which happened in 165 AD. Also, the Antonine Plague, which was a strain of the smallpox virus, killed many Roman citizens, and this was an issue because it left less taxpayers and less manual labor, which was definitely a struggle as Rome increased in capacity. It was they were heavily reliant on taxpayers and manual labor at the time, so that definitely hurt Rome in that sense. In 166, Germanic tribes attacked Roman territories. They burned and pillaged villages, but they later retreated because they didn't have the forces to siege Rome or anything like that, so they retreated. But then in 168, Marcus left Rome with Verus to go and stand up against the Germanic tribes, and fend them off from the edges of the Roman Empire. And Verus, on the journey to set up headquarters in Sirmium, he unexpectedly passed away. And it's probably, honestly, not a terrible thing because he was not contributing very much, and he was using his role to indulge himself. So the war on that front began in 170 AD, and in the process, many Roman cities were destroyed, they were burned, and that includes some of the Greek cities, and monuments of Greece were burned at that time too. The philosopher emperor spent a large amount of his reign in warfare rather than focused on the homeland and philosophy like he was his strong suit. He wasn't able to do what he was best at for very long. And then after the war, Avidius Cassius declared himself emperor when he heard that Marcus was dead from his wife. And when Marcus heard that Avidius Cassius had claimed the throne as emperor, he sent his son Commodius to the Germanic territories to say, hey, if he's claiming the throne, my son, my literal son, is a better fit than he would be. And in the process, before anything came of it, Cassius was assassinated by a centurion, and later on Marcus would make Commodius his co-emperor in 177 AD. But he had a lack of time to raise up his son. He was only 15 when he was made co-emperor, so he had a lack of experience, and he was not educated well enough to be a good emperor like his father was. And in 180 AD, Marcus fell ill with the plague, and he passed away, leaving Commodius in charge. So there were a few legends of Marcus that he claimed for himself, or the people claimed for himself after his death. And one of them was that he was a descendant of Romulus, the founder of Rome, and that was something that was commonly claimed by emperors. But Marcus also claimed that. There was also a story of him praying to Jupiter for rain to come, and it did. And also there were stories of him healing citizens of diseases and injuries and all sorts of things in town squares. I don't know how accurate that is. I doubt that happened, but that was a legend of Marcus as well. And one of Marcus's most famous works is his collection of books, the Meditations. And this is just a collection of his thoughts written over the course of 19 years. It's basically a series of mental techniques given to live life to the fullest as a Roman. And it's basically like a secular Bible, just a guidebook to how to live life, what to value, what to pursue, what to do. And some of the themes presented in the Meditations were treating unkindness with kindness, having intention in your actions, being open to criticism, avoid complaining, adversity, the knowledge of adversity being natural and using it to make you stronger, acting in the moment, standing up now in the current time and living your life, observing things in a way that you really see what they truly are, not just the surface, being grateful for everything you have. And with all these themes, you can clearly see how they can be closely aligned to the biblical teachings. And I look at this and see evidence of all men having a moral compass. It's very similar to the morals of the Bible, and I don't think it's a coincidence that Marcus, who was searching for truth and for knowledge and how to live life, how to live a good life, I don't think it's a coincidence that he stumbled across similar things to what the Bible teaches. And I think that's really cool. Some of the aftermath after Marcus's death, he died and he left Commodius as the emperor, but he left him in the care of his soldiers. So there was a lot of controversy there after he died. Commodus, he did not continue his father's legacy. He was, like I said, he was not a philosophical person. He was not very intelligent, and it was definitely a disappointment to Rome. And it led to a lot of failed coups to take Commodus out and to take over the throne and have another good emperor. But unfortunately, that was the end of the Pax Romana, the Roman peace, and it was honestly the beginning of Rome's downfall. And it just led to Rome's just total division. But overall, Marcus, an incredible emperor, well known for him being a Stoic philosopher, very well-rounded. He fought military engagements. They weren't super successful. Lost large amounts of Rome, but he engaged in military engagements. He was a great leader philosophically, and most of all, he wrote down 19 years worth of his own ponderings of what it means to be a good person, a morally upright person. And I think that's a really cool trait in an emperor, and that's why his legacy lives on, not because of what he accomplished necessarily, but the fact that he was a philosopher and an emperor at the same time. And that's really awesome. Thank you.